Over 600 tornadoes have been reported across the U.S. just in the past 2 months. Late spring is normally very active when it comes to severe weather, but this is over the top. So what's up? I'll explain in this week's Heather's Weather Wise. On average, the months of April and May usually produce a combined 500 tornadoes. But this year, over 300 in April, and in May, over 500. But what's more sobering is the number of tornado deaths. On average, 21 is the unfortunate norm, but this year, the count is already up to 38. Over the past couple of weeks, the weather pattern has allowed for a lot of warm air in the east, even though we haven't seen a whole lot of it yet in western New York, but that's meant to balance it out. We've had a lot of cool air off to the west. Those competing air masses often produce frequent storms either in the Central Plains or the desert Southwest. As those storms move eastward, they start to interact with moisture coming up out of the Gulf, and that's where the trouble really starts. The High Plains is a hot spot for tornadoes this time of year, and a big reason is a weather feature that's unique to the region. It's called a dry line. A dry line is an invisible boundary between the hot, dry air coming right out of the desert Southwest and the warm, moist air that comes out of the Gulf. Fast winds usually kick up along and ahead of dry lines, and both of these air masses on their own are usually very unstable, meaning the air rises easily. That buoyancy, combined with the instability, allows for a lot of spin in the atmosphere, and that's where we start to see tornadic thunderstorms developing, creating radar images that look like this. Dry lines produce some of the most picturesque supercell thunderstorms with high bases and very little precipitation. These types of thunderstorms make West Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas the most active region for tornadoes in late spring. They can also ignite days-long chain reactions of deadly severe weather, as we've seen recently. Fortunately, the past week has been much quieter, and the deeper we get into summer, the lower the tornado probabilities tend to be. That's because the atmosphere is more uniformly hot and humid. With less competing air masses, the atmosphere is just a little less violent. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Heather's Weather Wise. I'll see you next week with a new topic, but until then, remember, it's good to be a geek.